Whoa! It's Wulzy. Welcome to Wizmas. In this video, I'm going to build an entire Christmas-themed level in the same video. From scratch, we have Wizmas. I've loaded up a Namice song, which, contrary to their usual style, is liquid DNB. And I think it'll be really fascinating to try and build a Christmas-themed level, even though I'm going to add effects and stuff, with this DNB song. First thing that's necessary is to hide the ground, just so I can start straight away in midair and just have a custom ground on the bottom. Obviously, this video took a massive amount of time to make, so please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. It would really help out. I'm going to stretch out this block a little bit on the X, and I'm just going to rotate it a little bit and just make a rough ground line that's not exactly straight, with a few different layers on it like this. Except I'm probably gonna just make it a little bit more rough. And save a few objects just by using a very stretched out block. To copy paste, I'm just copy pasting and then flipping around like this so it matches up. Let's give that a group. We're just gonna use group number 1 straight away. We're gonna put down a move trigger that's going to lock it to the player on the X like this. I'm just gonna put in around 15 seconds so it locks to the player for that long. We have a bumpy ground, but we're gonna decrease the X mod, so it's actually gonna be an 80% player lock, so it's going quite slow there. The effect that I wanted is actually done quite differently, as the ground should be moving towards us, not with us, which I'll touch on soon. I'm going to put this on B4 just as a layer. Then we're going to copy the values and start adding little details into it. We can put flattened out grass that's going to be stretched out over here just to add a bit of detail. Maybe double stack that just to make it look a bit more convincing. Just copy pasting that and changing the size ever so slightly as we're going across. And I'm also just placing it kind of randomly. Should be able to copy paste this down and create extra layers. If I just link this, copy paste, go down a block, maybe even half a block instead, we can go onto the next editor layer and then go into the HSV settings like this and just drag the slider down a little bit just so we get a different color that's a little bit darker. I'm actually going to go ahead and change the white itself to be gray. We have to make sure this is a whole Z order in front. So let's place this here. I'm going to warp it a little bit extra to the side. That's just going to place some of these objects a little bit in a different place across the line. Then we're going to give this a brand new group number 2 and change the mod in the X. Instead of being 0.2, let's try 0.3 and see if it gives us the right look. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, no, it needs to be lower because objects closer to the camera should be moving faster. That's how parallax works. Okay, so we have this. This is good. I'm actually just going to grab these grass objects and just flip them around so they come at different times because, yeah, it was kind of looking copy-pasted there, but this is looking decent so far. This is a dumb and repetitive process, but I wanted to keep it in to show that not all creative processes are instant and you shouldn't just give up. Don't worry, progress definitely accelerated as soon as this process was done. Okay, let's just repeat that once again. Select the bottom layer, move down half a block, maybe even a little bit extra, just to create a slightly bigger gap between the layers. We're gonna go down that same increment of 0.06 downwards. These objects are getting closer to the camera. They should be scaled up, really. Not just outwards, I mean like up to like this. Maybe I'll move it even further down at this rate. Let's line it up, give it another new group. That's gonna be number 3. And we'll just set up the next movement trigger. This one can probably go a bit more than just the 0.1. I'm gonna make this 0.08 and then we're gonna change it to group number 3. Okay, here we go. Now we have a triple layer on the front of the screen, which is looking pretty cool. Oh wait, we should be moving this on a negative like this. So we're actually going past these objects. Well, obviously that's way too quick. We need to try out something like 0.05 on the negative. This is probably gonna look better, I'm not gonna lie. Putting a bigger negative number on the front. Yeah, this is better. This is exactly what it should look like, I think. This is fine. So the front layer is on minus 0.2. Then it goes down to minus 0.12. Then it goes down to minus 0.05. And I'm probably going to have another layer on the front, which is going to be group number 4, which is going to be a positive, and it's going to be like 0.06. Something very subtle. Let's turn off link controls. We can just grab the values, and I'm going to look for a bush or something I can place on the front like this one. So let's just paste the state in the color. We can go back a layer. Okay, that's already kind of a decent color here. I'm probably going to flatten it out just a little bit. I'm going to make a smaller version that's going to be even flatter here. I'm just going to flip it around upside down and just stack it like this. Maybe even stretch it just to make sure it never shows the bottom of itself. It's a technique you'll see in a lot of video game development, I think. Just kind of wrapping that design. Let's make sure this is on group number 4. Now when we go past, we have like a bush layer there, which is cool. I obviously spent a lot of time on this ground and tweaked it a lot, but understanding the parallax I wanted straight away helped me get ideas for the decoration going forward. I'm now going to test adding a Y mod to these, like ever so slightly, on a 0.04 or something, just to see what it looks like when I jump. Okay, this is cool. It's a bit more interactive, but I'm probably going to change that Y per layer. So the front needs the most. Let's put this on like 0.08. Then we can just do a decrease of 0.02 for every layer. So there's going to be 0.6, this is 0.4, and this is 0.2. Okay, here we go. That's some pretty cool immersion, I think. Just changing the curve, so it goes 0.1, 0.2, 0.5, 0.8. Just to make it a bit more minimal on the top layer, yeah. Okay, now we gotta do some major work. I'm gonna move all of this up by a couple of pixels on the step block right here, like this. Just so we're like in the white space here. And when I place an object like a slope, it's going to sit on that layer, but I'm going to have to wiggle the rest of this around. Let's take this off -6 and put it on -5. And then the layer that's on -5 needs to go up to -4 so that these objects can sit on B4 and the -6 that's just right above this layer right here. Now if I put an object there, it's gonna just duck into the next layer of the slope, as you can see. I don't know if this will be the actual design, but I'm gonna go with it. Let's just put it on color channel 1 that I changed to like a slight gray. Okay, these don't look good, so I'm gonna actually put them on a next free color, which is going to just be a gray like this. Yeah, we'll just hide the actual slopes themselves. It's gonna make simple gameplay like this, where we're just jumping onto some blocks and going down to the ground quite a bit, just so we can use that. I didn't build it for nothing. Making sure every time I put something on the ground, it's going to be on the correct layer, which is B4 and -6. I love black orbs and spider orbs. I'm going to make it so you have to click this one and then hold to get on the other side of the slope, because otherwise you're going to launch all the way off. So I like the idea of just clicking there and just enforcing that jump. Even though it's a 5-star, this should be readable. Also, at this point, I'm trying to leave the ground just because I kind of run out of ground over here. I don't want to use too many objects. I want to make this a really simple level. So I'm just going to try and get up here. We can have a huge cloud section. It kind of justifies leaving this ground. So this is where I can start putting portals and keep myself above the ground. This time I'm going to use a spider orb because I want to have the slope extend down and then you make another jump off the end. It's just safer to use the spider orb because you can't jump again if you're still holding from the click when you land on the block. Like that black orb. I think that's cool. Probably extend the slope a little bit more just so you have more momentum and it's more of a risk if you don't hit that. Yeah, like I could put a saw blade up here, which will be nice. Then I'm going to do a ship portal that's going to be scaled down a little bit. Let's go free mode. We can put a bit of easing, a bit of padding on it. This is just going to be a little segue between parts here, which is cool. We can go into a big size portal because this song has a bit of a zoom when you go through here. Actually, this could just be a tunnel section in a cube, just so I can save the drop for a different game mode. I like the dash orb there, that's cool. Yeah, and then we can go into a UFO section right over here. Here's the extent of the gameplay so far. I think the double speed and mini combination will help the environment feel pretty large right from the start of the level, since we'll be passing over everything pretty quickly. It'll be a challenge to make the slopes work, but I think it's fun like this. Okay, this is looking good to me. Nice. Okay, now that I think about it, this whole moving up when I jump thing is kinda janky. I'm thinking of changing the setting to be on lock Y camera so that it only goes up if the screen goes up. Which makes it pretty flat to start off with, but when we go up the screen, it should look a bit cooler, yeah. Maybe I could have something near the beginning that makes you go super high. You can maybe have like a rooftop or something where you go up. Yeah, it also just makes the gameplay more interesting to have different heights like this. So I'm gonna put a teleporter and a orange orb, red orb, whatever you want to call it. Just like this. Just trying to add more to this section just to make it a bit more interesting, yeah. I've been building for roughly half an hour at this point, which is interesting considering all I've really accomplished at this point is a simple moving ground and some gameplay. Okay, behind these bushes, I'm gonna start making mountains. I think I have a strategy this time. The last time I tried to make a mountain, it was terrible.
Oh my god, bro.
Set up a next free group and then make this go towards a brown color just by desaturating a lot. Make sure it's on the right layer here. Yep, that looks good to me behind the bush. So let's just warp like so, and then we can copy paste, go the layer behind, and then rotate a little bit like this. Just moving it to the side and then matching up the peak. So let me just do that real quick like this. Just thinking of making it a little bit steeper like this. And then we go into the HSV and we decrease the brightness by like maybe 0.06, yeah. On the same layer, we can just flip around and apply the same brightness but higher. And then we have a 3D looking cone here, which is pretty cool. I think we just add another triangle above, which is going to be on that same color channel 1 as we were using before. We're going to just scale it down in the same aspect ratio, just with that lock on the top left. And then if we just continue layering cleverly with this triangle on the front, the one behind it being a layer behind with a brightness decrease, maybe not 0.06. I guess it would make sense to match the other side, actually. I think we can have this side be the brightest. We just need to make a flatter version at the very bottom, like this. That's going to cover up the other mess. That actually looks kind of decent. Let's see if I can draw a line on this side. I think I can if I just make these two blocks a little bit lighter, and then this giant triangle a tiny bit brighter as well. I don't know. Wait, I see it. Okay, we make the other side a tiny bit darker as well. There we go. I think that looks good as a mountain. Okay, I've set the mountain to group number 5. This bush over here is group number 4. And that moves 0.06 on the X and 0.01 on the Y. I'm thinking that we can just make group number 5 go half as much on the Y when we go up and down, and then a tiny bit less than the layer in front of it. There we go. That creates more depth there. That's good. Okay, then I'm going to put a center point right here, which is going to be an area parent, but it's also going to be hidden. Let's just select the whole thing again, link it, and then we should be able to give this another group. I'm just going to put 6. I want to make it so as we're passing these mountains, they move up a tiny little bit. To do that, we're going to use that star that we placed as the area parent. That's kind of the focus of this whole operation. As soon as I put in group number 6 into this trigger, that star is the focus. I'm going to choose this mode on it, which makes it so as I'm approaching, these objects are going to move into place. It's only based on the X position, not the Y. I'm going to give it a tiny little movement up as we're approaching on a 15 block radius around the player. So basically, as we get close to these mountains, they're going to move up and down like this. But that's not quite as smooth as I expected. What I could do is increase the length a little bit extra, so it takes a little bit longer during the time I'm getting there to move up and down. That's smooth. I want them to move a little bit differently to each other. So I've got 5 in here. I'm going to go into the plus or minus section, which is variance. It will randomly subtract a number between 0 and 3 here to add to this value or take away from this value. So some mountains will be going higher than others when we go past, and that's going to be pretty interesting just to create a little bit of variance going through. But we're going to just switch up the shape and size of these mountains, and they're going to move up and down like this. I think it's cool. Okay, we're going to set the background to plain now, and I'm going to go to a new editor layer once again and just pick up some glow that we're going to put at the very bottom of the screen like this. Scale it up. New color, background blending, and we need to change the background itself. So let's take a look here. If I just click this button, we should be able to make it a bit more pale, a little bit more light blue. That's ridiculously bright. Okay, cool. Let's lock this glow piece into the background on group number 7, which is going to have 0 difference on the mod. Let's just go with a 1.0, and now we have this glow in the background. It's ridiculously bright though. So let's just go into the brightness and just turn it down a little bit. There we go. This is looking better now. I'm going to put these bushes onto the next free color here, which is number 5. I'm going to turn them down because what I noticed just looked a little bit weird before when there were 2 white layers moving at different directions from each other. This looks better already. Let's make a little flip on the top, which is going to be white blending because I want this to be closer to the sky. Maybe even make it a little bit longer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the entire level, go don't fade, don't enter, reduce all of those block transitions on the sides. We're also going to go no glow, and we're going to just reset, no start positions, save and exit, save and play. We're going to take a look at how this is going. I'm quite liking this so far. I like the contrast of the blue and the brown and then the white snow on the bottom. I think it's looking good. We have the sky here, which is white along the top. Hopefully it doesn't go off the screen at all. I think this should be good. Okay, nice, dude. All we have to do is lock that to the screen for like 5-10 seconds longer, and we should be good to go. Place your bets, guys. Is this actually going to be the 5-star level that I set out to try and make? Let's go with like a 25-second move time. Okay, I also want to put speed lines in the background, and what better way to do it than with particles? Let's just make this bigger so you can see it. I'm going to use these strippy particles in the texture section. Actually, I'm going to use the double-backed ones because I think they make more sense. We want these to be going up. So not on the X. We want Y gravity here. A lot of variance on the X position. More speed. We have to remove the angle from them too. Okay, I've actually figured out if you just put speed and then a negative angle, you get the same thing, but without that weird acceleration. Because look, if you just drag the gravity up, it starts slow and then speeds up. You can see it with the lower speeds especially. Let's just go -90 and then we can have a decent speed on this. And they're just going to go consistently here. And I've rotated them and I've whacked them on the side. They have to vary a lot in size. I think they have to be overall smaller as well. I think what I'm going to do is just stretch it this way. We need more particles for sure. Let's just crank that up and then calculate. I should be able to put this on group number 7 on B4 and it should go behind everything. So now we have speed lines going in the background. They're pretty opaque, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to use group number 8 on an alpha trigger straight away, which is going to be set to a lower opacity. And this is going to just be used for the wind. So I want to have a few layers of it here. That's just going to be stretched out a little bit more. Oh, let's see. I've stacked it up. I'm just going to reduce the opacity until it makes sense here. I've changed the speed of these particles as well to make them slower. So it's 120 and 100 there instead of the 190 that they were carrying before. Because on the foreground here, I'm going to put this close to the ground. I'm going to make this the biggest layer. We're going to have a different opacity. Put this T4 to make sure it goes over everything. Group number 9 is going to have some very quick moving particles on the lowest opacity, just to create that effect on the front too. Now let me just increase the speed to like 250 this time. In fact, maybe we can make this a little bit smaller, but increase the individual size of these particles. Yeah, we have some that are just sitting on top of the level. I think this looks pretty decent. I want to add snow over the top as well, but this is a good start for speed lines, in my opinion. Looks great when we have this gradient in the background too. I just wanted to point out right here that in this playtest, you can actually see each particle spawning and leaving because I didn't set the lifetime to be high enough per particle, and I'll fix that later. Let's copy this piece of glow, go on to a new editor layer number 10 and just take a background colored piece right here with no modifications at all. Just gonna make it slightly bigger and taller and move it up into place here. Put it at the top of B5. Then I'm gonna try and nab all of these objects with their stars without the snow caps. Let's copy paste, go to editor layer number 11, put them B5 as well, and I'm just gonna stretch them out like this and make them a bit flatter. Move them closer to the ground because I want to have hills here that are going behind this glow layer. You can see it. Let's take a look. We should have a couple of hills there. They should be moving slightly slower than the ones in the front, but it's still working as a piece of background decoration for now. I quite like that they're just chilling at the bottom of the screen. You can still see them. And then they get completely phased out, which is really good. Awesome. So these hills are on group number 5. These are also on 5. So let me just change that real quick. I can make that number 10. That is going to be another point slower and a little bit less on the Y. There we go. Now we have more depth. They're just slightly slower than the ones that are in front. Okay, I want to do one more layer of particles, which is going to be involved with the snowflake, I think. So let's just make them a little bit big and make them go down to 0. We can add a 0.2 on the fade in and fade out. How many do we want? I think we want a big chunk of these that are going to last for a while. See, it takes them a long time to go small as well. I want to make them over a large area, and then I want to make them just point ever so slightly down and make them kind of gravitate that way too. This is the 1 hour mark for the footage. The level is starting to take shape here, but obviously this part still has a long way to go. I haven't even started the design yet, but as you'll see, the particles I'm adding do add a lot and build up the level quite quickly. I think this should be good if we just lock this on 7 and the foreground. Okay, they kind of just spawned weirdly. You see that? They don't have enough downward power, I'd say. If I just decrease the size a little bit more, they should just fly across the screen and to the left. This is pretty good. I think some of them are just a little bit too big, but it does replicate snow, which is a great thing because it was supposed to replicate snow. Okay, cool. Do I just want the occasional giant snowflake to go across with less speed? Yeah, why not? I think that's cool. But everything should be rotating, so let's just put a random... No, not size, dude. Oh my gosh. Random end spin. Yeah, this is better. Same as on the other particle. And then we should be good to actually continue with the level. Thank goodness. Let's see how the giant ones look. I like that. It gives it the occasional little kick to it, I think. Wait, do we put a low opacity bit of snow in the background with glow? I think we can. I think it's harmless to do so. We're just going to use the exact same settings, just a little bit slower, or snower, I guess you could say, once I put this glow on it. Increase the size a little bit. Let me just put that group number 9 on it, just so it doesn't get in the way. Put it B5, and we should be good to go. You can barely see it, though. So this is group 9, 27%. Group 8 is 51%. So let's try that Group number 8. Okay, that might be a little bit too opaque, but I won't know until I make something else. Let's take 8 off it and give it 11, and we could just put a value in between. Let's just say like 40% for number 11. 42%. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is like the perfect number. Okay, this is looking good. I think I can move on to a block design now. Thankfully, the particle work is done. The background work is done. We're moving into this cloudy section. We can make clouds later. I want to make some blocks. Okay, we need to keep up the gray blocks. I think it stands out well against the dark brown in the mountains, also the bright blue in the background and the snow. It's just like the perfect color for this section. This block is really ugly because of the gray outline. However, oh, this one could be cool too. I can throw together some brick textures, I think. Watch this. If I put down some blocks underneath on black and just layer them at the very bottom, and then put these on top on a new color channel with less opacity, and then boost the black color channel, we can make them lighter and then use the blocks like this. Oh, we could just use all 3 actually. Yeah, I was gonna pick one, but now we can just use all 3 like this. Then if we put down some slopes on B5 as well, I wonder if we can use this block to fit this template. Yo, try my best to just distort this block into a slope. This is a terrible way to make designs, but it's been done. We need to put the base blocks on B4 and 1, and then the rest of the objects need to go on to B4 and 2. Oh, these are pixel blocks. They have to be a whole Z layer above for some reason. I want a little bit more contrast. That's kind of annoying that I've done this after the fact, but hey. I'm so conflicted now. I don't know. I figured that with the design, I'd only get the colors right if I just filled in some blocks with it. For art levels, there should be a good level of contrast between the foreground and the background, so by using these blocks a little, I can see how it looks and find out what to change. I'm just putting the chiseled block down on some of the corners here to round them off. Making the structures look decent with just white blocks was proving to be difficult. Obviously, I tried to vary the texture with multiple designs, but truthfully, the answer was to add another layer and change the structures away from pillars. Don't think these slopes are gonna work. Yeah, these just look so awkward. Okay, now that I think about it, this dark brick should actually be more dark. So I'm gonna quickly unlink. I'm gonna grab these squares underneath them. Next free, and then we're gonna make this very dark. I found this added like more than one layer to the block, which is definitely welcomed because they were looking pretty flat. Okay, this is looking decent. Apart from the slopes, we just need to add a little bit more to them. Okay, back at the drawing board. Let's copy the values of the front bricks and see if I can just put on the same bricks I was trying to do before. But you see how when you place them down, there's like that big gray outline? I'm hoping that if I put it on top, then that'll get rid of it. Okay, it will. And these are perfectly usable. That's so good for me. Thank you. Delete those. We can easily put these in. Okay, let's see how this looks. That looks so much better. Okay, we're good. This is an actual good design, thankfully. Oh my gosh. We need to use these shadow blocks to my advantage as much as possible and stop making pillar structures. Let's see if I can copy the values. Just paste them on. Okay, we have to do something about that light detail though. If we just clap it on 10, boom. Perfect. All right, now we have a darker version, hopefully. Yeah, I'd say that's fine. I think these slopes look good on the sides of the blocks and also under them. This is good. All I have to do is figure out a way to stop them from looking similar to the tops of the mountains. I wonder if I can literally just put a huge slope here. This might work. I'm gonna need shading behind with glow, but we can do that soon-ish. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, we're doing good now. All I need to do is put some snow on the bottom that connects these structures to the ground. And we're kind of chilling. I've done some decent designing already. At the 2-hour mark, I've only just found a design that really works for the level. It took a long time to experiment with different blocks that would fit with the surroundings, and I cut a lot of different ideas from the video here that just didn't work. It's okay to make things and delete them. Okay, we have to figure out some grass decor. Ooh, wait. Doesn't even have to be grass. We could use clouds. This will be genius, right? If I just stretch them really thin and then made them white and put them on a high layer. Yes, I can literally just lump these into the ground. That's so cool. I'm gonna make a quick zoom effect where we start off on 1.2 zoom like this. So we're very zoomed in. But then as we're going up the slope, we're gonna go into a big zoom out to 0.9, I think, with exponential out. Let's just see. It should just zoom out like that. Yeah, but it needs to be better timed like this. Here we go. Now it kind of feels like you're opening up to this world. Oh, we put in like a rotation to intensify it. Just trying to make it so we go up and everything skews a little bit. And it also feels like a bit of a climb this way, which is really interesting. And we can do a smooth rotation back to 0 with a big sign out on like 8 seconds. So it's going to be pretty decent. I'm a fan of just using subtle camera controls like this. Just controlling the way that the level feels that little bit extra. We can also use an edit color trigger and just modify some of these values. Like this way, it's more gray. If we just take down the tint to 0.75 on all of them, and then let's put a 1 second transition with exponential out to match the zoom where it goes to 1 on all of these. We can also do a 0.1 increase on the brightness on everything too. Like whoosh. Awesome. And then all we have to do is put like an ease in out that goes to the default values, which is just 0 on all the bottom ones. And we could just put like 2 seconds. Just a very subtle color change here. I like that. We can also do a background flash just like this with a 0.1 fade in and something like a 0.8 fade out. Should just be able to use the HSV in this section. Yeah, this is an example of a background flash. Okay, we can also do one for color channel number 1, which is right next to it, just to create a little bit of a stagger there, which should lighten up the level too. Maybe the mountains as well, but not as much on the brightness change at all. Let's just go for color channel number 3. Let's take a look here. Okay, just copying this for every beat, and as you can see, the level's kind of just lighting up and going crazy with the music there. I think it's cool. Probably make it a little bit more smooth, considering we're changing the colors of some odd in this level. I think the fade in should be like 0.25, like this, and then the fade out should be 0.7 or something. Here we go. Boom. That's much better. And we can move it a little bit earlier just to accommodate for that longer fade time. Wait, I want the bricks to light up too. Oh, that's annoying. I just didn't even think about that. Oh, but they're opacity based. Oh my gosh. This base block should be going up. Number 9. Okay. I'm assuming because 9 is very similar to 1, we can just copy 1, maybe just a tiny bit earlier, just to add to the offsetness of the pulses, and just make this number 9, not number 8. It does work. Okay, it's very subtle, but it's nice. Oh, but don't forget, we used 11 for the darker blocks too. Okay, we might as well go all in here. We're gonna make 11 darker at the same time, which is a weird strategy, but I think it's gonna look cool. Kind of like ups the contrast there. That's nutty. I like it. So it starts off dark, it lightens up, and then we have the colors changing. This is really sweet. I'm feeling the energy of this level now. Okay, all we need is glow behind the blocks. The base blocks are B4 and 1. Get myself some glow, like right here. Stretch it out, and then decrease the layer. I'm gonna go on a mission of just putting glow behind all of these objects, and then I'll figure out the opacity for them after. I used a pretty lazy method for the drop shadows, but it's object efficient. I just used a single glow piece underneath the blocks and just scaled it up and warped it. However, I did find a few issues with the layering. Oh, this glow is going above the snow. I don't know how I didn't realize that. Interesting. Okay, B4 minus 7. Oh, that's annoying, man. All the way to the bottom of B4 it goes. Oh, but now it goes behind the mountains. Okay, now it's impossible. Oh, gosh. I'm gonna have to put the mountains on the top of B5. B5. But then remember, I put mountains behind, and I'm gonna have to move them too. Oh my gosh, dude. I'm gonna have to do a huge selecting mission now. Let's put this all the way at the bottom of B5. Oh, but now the glow is messed up. Oh gosh, I really should have made a backup before I did this. Holy. The back mountains had 4 layers to them, which got broken by this huge shift downwards. But they're under so much glow that I added for depth that it's not that noticeable playing through, so I kind of just left it. The layering's pretty flawed in this level, but it's been fun to build so far. Alright, the layering issues haven't really been a thing for the background. They just have 2 different shades now, but honestly, I think that's fine. It's just a little bit broken, that's all. Let's just continue the glow mission. Okay, that should be done. We need to give them a group because I haven't done that yet. Let's just go with 12. Wait. We could probably just use one of these, to be honest. Let's just take it off. 8 was 50%. Am I correct in that assumption? Yep. Okay, and this looks good to me. Save and exit. Here we go. Oh, I forgot to change the slope at the very beginning. But this part is like almost done. I just gotta add air decoration. But I think I'm gonna move on to the cloud section because I'm a little bit worried about how this part's gonna turn out, to be honest. I am making new structures for this section. There we go. These are looking good. I might even flip this one just for good measure because it just looks more varied this way. We can actually just do another slope structure here. Okay, this is good. I like the way this is looking. These are just gonna be a couple of structures. Pretty simple copy pasting here. I mainly just created new floating structures instead of replacing the actual blocks, but it didn't hurt to add a few platforms in the mix to land on, just to switch it up. I'm just hoping to put a few blocks in and inspire the next wave of decoration. Okay, just gonna fix this structure at the beginning. I'm gonna leave it as the 2.0 bricks just because I think it's kind of iconic, you know? Love to see it. Okay, let's test this now. We have more shading, and then in the floating section, we should have a couple of cool looking blocks just sitting here. Everything should be sight readable. I like the zoom here. I might add a little bit of movement here and there. I gotta change the spikes a little bit. I might just turn off glow and keep them as default white because they do look good. This is turning out very well immediately. That brings us to the end of day 1 with 2 hours and 38 minutes of footage today. I think I've done a good job with the art in this level so far, and my favorite addition has been the particles. Alrighty, it's day 2. Let's make some air decoration and finish off this air section. We are currently on 2,024 objects, the number of objects in this calendar year. Wow. Some extra details. We are up to 12 different colors, even though they're all mostly gray and brown. And our next free group at this point is 12, and we've used 13 different editor layers for this opening section. Isn't that just fascinating? Alrighty, let's take a look at the orbs here. They are on B1 and 12. Let's just nab the same settings that's on the drop shadow glow, and we can just paste them onto this type of glow on B2. There we go. Now we have a shadow behind the orb. That's a good start. Gonna make some quick decoration using the snowflake object, which is gonna go underneath this glow object. So let's just put B2 and 4. We'll make this pretty big. Okay, this is a huge opacity. We should probably turn this down. Remember, we made 9 around 20%. I think that's better. Then let's copy paste and move down by a step, move down by a Z order, and then decrease the brightness by like 0.2. If I just repeat this a couple more times, we should have a cool looking snowflake. There we go. I think that looks cool. I'm gonna select the entire snowflake, give it group number 12. Then we can just set up a rotation at the very start. We can just set that to be for the entire part. Let's just go like 25 seconds. We can rotate it, I don't know, 5 times. Let's just make sure we hit 12. So this theoretically looks good. We play in normal mode. We should see that effect on the snowflakes. Perfect, dude. Wow. Okay, this snowflake is going over the top of my slopes, which is kind of annoying because I want the gameplay to be visible, but I also want a cool little backdrop for this orb. Dang it. Let's just make giant ones for the portals, because why not, dude? Oh, that looks terrible. Hold up. We gotta think about the compositions here. We can't just have giant decoration pieces and just call it a day. I think it looks good when it's sometimes big, sometimes small. Big next to small objects, and small next to big objects, maybe? Alrighty, here we have the snowflakes. I think these are looking good, just behind the orbs. They fit in well with the decoration. Maybe in this section it could do with a change. Yeah, that giant one looks a little bit tacky, but I'm liking the shading. I like how they're both white and gray, which matches them perfectly with the bricks here. I gotta be honest, there's one structure that just doesn't feel right going up here, and it's this big fat one there. I think it just has to go here, so let me just delete some. I'm gonna make this a floating platform instead. Don't know if that's gonna look good. Something about it just looks weird. I just wanna make it feel like we're going up more, man. Let's see. I think that's better, honestly. It just feels off. I got this. Let's remove the bottom side, and then let's get rid of this block and flip this whole slope around. That's gotta be better. I almost forgot to delete the clouds that I put in the snow. Not like they're really visible. Just realized while editing that I didn't remove the drop shadow that I placed on that original giant block, so I've went and fixed that off camera. What I'm thinking of doing here is just setting up a couple of stars with area parent on them on the first block where these blocks are at. Gotta make sure these are hidden over here. I gotta link them to their actual block counterparts, because let me show you the difference. I didn't explain this earlier, but let's just set this block up with a group 13. And this block has this star as the area parent. This one has this star as the area parent. They're also gonna go on 13. If I just set up an area move over here, let's just give it like 50 distance, right? We can put it on a 10 radius, stopping the move as we get there. Let's just set this up quickly for 13. Let's see. So you see how those structures move all together in one piece, but the next structure is all split up. That's because of the area parent on this star object, which makes it the only target, but the whole of 13 is going to move with it. And that works with the link feature. I don't feel like I explained that enough the first time around, so hopefully that works a little bit better. Let's just use a 90 degree or a 180 degree move angle, so they're kind of random. I want to make these blocks float up into place like that, but it just feels so off. I don't know why. I think it's the length on them. Just to show you the difference once again. You see how that block is just such a mess? I'm just gonna keep adding these on the same group, but with area parent. Okay, now it's time to start linking. I've put a star on every single object, just on the same line that it starts, if that makes sense. Because everything on the area move is gonna be on the x-axis only. Okay, then all we have to do is give them the group 13, and now, with that variance on the angle, we should see some of these blocks just move in kind of randomly, which is gonna add some energy to this section, which is much needed, I gotta say. But I'm going to add some extra little structures in now, which is going to be really hype. Let's set up some glow. We're going to make it pretty large, and we're going to put it on background blending. That's on color channel number 4. Awesome. I'm basically trying to spot glow here. Okay, you see how it's kind of lighting up with the background, though? I think that's pretty cool. I want to use a simple object like this, also on background blending. So this object is just going to be lighting up. It's fitting well, I'd say. I'm going to use the same glow object and the same values on that block to create a couple of slopes here. Like this. Gonna move this glow down and to the right, a little bit smaller, same as this one. Let's tilt this and we can scale it down for this object. I think this is fine. I'm probably gonna tilt this object too because I just want it to fit in. There we go. Now we're chilling. These are gonna copy the area movement with less length. I did change that to 220, by the way. Also less distance overall, and that's going to be for group number 14. And alongside that, I'm going to add an area fade for a much shorter length to full opacity just as we're getting there. Pretty similarly to the area move, just like this. So these objects are going to appear out of thin air. They probably need a little bit longer to do that movement, but I really like how they shine right as we're getting close to them. That's really cool. Let's increase that. Okay, we are chilling. I just got to add in the slopes and stuff. This is the 3-hour mark in the footage. I thought this sky section was going to take longer than it has so far, but I was yet to add clouds at this point, so it was still pretty hard to judge. Aiming to make clouds and air decoration for the first 2 parts in the next hour. One thing I'm going to do real quick is just turn off link controls and go on to these squares with custom select. Just by enabling select filter and going into delete and custom, we can single out these regular objects to select and just take off that moving area block on them. Just because, as you can see, a couple of these instances, because of the area move, these objects were kind of shifting the player, and I'm scared of just missing a block or having the gameplay be inconsistent because of these movements. This unfortunately didn't work for a reason you'll see soon. I still thought it was an interesting thing to include in the video because it shows how the area parent system works very clearly, and some creators might get caught out by this kind of thing. I'm also thinking of making these more smooth overall, just by using sine in out and trying different lengths. Yeah, that feels better with sine, I think. Okay, I think we're cooking with this part now. Now I'm just placing some of these slopes underneath just to create a bit of structuring here. In instances where these slopes are not rotating properly because of the glow being out of place, I can free move and snap them by their slope object, hopefully. Just move them into place like that. Trying to put a bit of a kick on the bottom of these objects here. It's struggling to free move because I keep selecting the glow. Let's take a look. Hopefully this is still sight readable. What I don't want to do is put too many kicks on these blocks and then make it really hard to see what's going on. Yeah, you see there was a little slope down there. That looks kind of crazy. I'm going to pause on it because it just looks like you're supposed to go down. I think it's right here. Wait, I could put a coin. That would be cool, right? That would be cool if you fell down and there was a coin route here. I never put coins in my levels, so I'm actually going to go for it. This would be really fun, just to fall down. Oh, it's kind of obvious, though. Let's just put a platform down here and then put that moving group on the 14 on this pad. Actually, this might have to be a red pad. I'm looking at the size of this jump. It's pretty big. I'm trying to make it off screen, but that is a pretty big indicator that there's a block down there. Hold on, let me see. Oh, okay, that actually works. Oh, did I just see the gameplay break? I can't tell. Wait, it looks like these blocks are still moving, even though I took off their group? Is that how it works? Just because these blocks are linked, even if they don't all have the group, they still move? I think I have to copy these blocks, put them onto a new layer. I'm just going to say 20 because it's free. Unlink, and then take link controls back off. Delete all the original blocks and then go to the editor layer 20 where the rest are and just put them back. This is a really complicated process. Don't worry. It's almost over. I'm just worried because these lines are curved, which means the blocks still aren't moving. So now let me test this new strategy and we'll go and inspect the green lines after that. I'm going to go down to the new coin route that I've put down. I still have yet to put the coin in, but We just got to observe. Yeah, you see how this is perfectly straight now? I think that has fixed it. Gonna make a few structures here. Dude, this rotation thing is getting on my nerves. It's using funny shapes to make extra structures in here. Okay, just adding a little bit more to the ceiling. I think this is coming together super well. I like these really bright blocks. They add a little bit of extra oomph to it, you know, because we have some bright white blocks, but nothing as bright as these, so it kind of just gives the level a bit of shine, some of the flair that I feel like it's been missing so far. Now we're going to test out some ship structures. I'm probably going to do more of the same just going into there, because this is really chill, and it should just feel different in this huge open section. Can probably do something with the camera, and even set the background to a different color here. So let me just nab that color and drag it down. The drum should keep going and make this brighter, but yeah, look, these objects are getting more blue, which is going to be really nice. Okay, folks, last session of the day. I want to make a quick background leading up into this section, so it's not kind of just awkward floating there with the background still being similar. I feel like the ship section is too samey, so I need something else. I'm going to go onto a new editor layer. It doesn't really matter where I place this object. I'm just going to put a circle down. It's going to be pretty small. On the next free color channel, which is going to copy the color of the background. Then I'm going to go into HSV and drag the slider all the way down, so it's like a dark blue. I'm going to put this thing on B5. I'm just going to put it on 1. Let's just give this a group number 15, which is going to advance follow onto the player. So let's just make a follow P1. The target is 15. I'm going to do it all the way over here. And this circle should not be visible at all. Yep, it's just like right behind my cube at the moment. Hold up. If I just select it and move up, you can see it's there. That's its follow group. It's going to have another group, which is going to identify it, which is going to be 16. Only this object is going to have 16. We're going to put this onto a scale trigger, which is going to start scaling up at this point, I think with an exponential out. Let's just see here. If I can get this right first try, that would be really good. Let's just multiply by 100 and give it a 5-second transition. Now we should see this circle appear. It's got such rough edges. I think I might have to make this glow. Let me just copy the values and change it for a glow piece if I can still find that object. Here we go. Rob moved the tabs of some things, especially the glow. But yeah, you see how the background kind of opens up there? I think I want it to keep going. Let's just make it a 10-second movement. We want it to last a little bit longer than that. Yeah, so it's kind of like an opening in the background and it gets much darker. That's actually really cool. We can probably make it a little bit darker than that blue, to be honest. Let's go minus 0.8. Let's take a look at this now. Yeah, because this glow piece is a vector now, we can use it instead of those tacky pixelated blocks because they don't go much bigger than the intended 4 times without getting like really patchy. I mean, even this object's quite patchy. But going up further, man, you get some crust. These glow objects are perfect because you can make them like literally any size and they will be smooth as butter. That is if they load in, dude. Let's take a look at this 150. That's pretty good. I'm just going to time it a little bit better here. And then what I'm going to do is copy this object and the trigger, move it to the right, and then use build helper so it goes on to group number 17. So it will have 15, which is the advanced follow, and 17, which is its unique group to scale. We're going to put this on the layer above, and we're going to make it just the regular background color. Just moving it back onto itself, but we're going to put this trigger a lot later than 1 block later. So it should go dark and then have another bright layer. Okay, this is good. We can move it a bit closer. I want it to be kind of free-flowing. Yeah, okay. If I just do the same thing again, copy-pasting a bit to the right, build helpering. So it goes onto a new group, and then changing the layer and the color again, we can go back down to that minus 0.8. Then we can make a multiple layer effect here, which is just going to sit on the player and do a bunch of colors going through the ship section, which is going to be really cool. We can time that a bit better by moving it to the right. I think this is going to be super sick. I'm going to do everything up here just because it's a little bit easier. I can mass build helper like so, and then maybe make it a little bit faster so we can bunch this up by another half block and make it a bit closer. And the one after that can just be 2 blocks later. Then we can go 1.5. So it gets closer and closer together. We can probably time that a little bit better, but yeah, I'm just going to align this properly. Yeah, because it's getting bunched up now right as the dash orb is hitting. You'll see with the music right here. I think that's going to be really nice. Got to make sure it goes up 1 Z order every time. Then once I get up to the final layer, you can see the reason that I mass copy pasted these, because now I can just mass change the color of every second one all the way back up to the regular background color like that. And I just slap them all on top of each other like this. Actually, I don't even have to do this because the advanced follow is just going to move all of it onto the same block on the player anyway, but I just want it to be in that neat little spot. We should see this cool effect where these colors go out. and then it goes a bit quicker, but we need to figure out a way that it's going to stay on screen. I think this background color kind of ruins it. We're going to see what it looks like without the change. I think it just looks cool staying the same color here. I wonder if for the transition, we can line all of these up and then copy paste and rotate them so they all go in a line. Let me show you the effect lines here. They're all going to get skinnier when I'm rotating up together. You see how these lines are getting much closer? We can then do an effect like this, which is going to have to be backwards. 28 is the start. Ignore this mess of duration lines, because I did some weird rotations on the triggers. Really doesn't like you doing that, but yeah, it's fixed now. Hopefully I can fix this with like a 3-second long divide transition. Not sure how this will work, but hopefully the glow will shrink from the front layer. It looks okay. It definitely needs more distance between each trigger, and I also think... Sorry, let me just line up these effect lines at the right times. It's got to start like right here. They can have less movement time. I want to have a really trippy circle effect going through here. It almost works, dude. Wow. Let's just make it a little bit quicker and then rotate it a little bit more. Just trying to get the timing absolutely perfect going into this transition. Oh, it's so close, dude. It just starts at the wrong time now. And it turns out I'm just not a fan of these being kind of apart from one another. So I'm going to see if I can fix that. Yes! Perfect, dude. Wow. The last few can be like 1 second and then 2 seconds for the last piece of glow, just to make it a bit dramatic when it closes, because we're still going to have a big part of the screen that's going to be empty right before the dash orb ends. Like right there is perfect, dude. What? This level is coming together so well. This might be my best 2.2 level, and it's entirely a secret for the Christmas special. I can't believe it. Yes, and this transition looks so good. And then we have the dash orb that all shrinks down. Oh my gosh, that's such a good transition. I'm gonna quickly make a cloud layer now. Let's place this down. We can go to T1 so it goes above the block, and then we can have this on the white setting. Good start. Okay, let's just put this a little bit closer to the bottom. Right, we're going to copy paste. We are going to scale up and go to B4. I think that's the bottom layer of these objects. Let's just double check. Okay, they're B3 and they are B4 and 1. Okay, so anything on B4 can have background blending as its color and it will go behind. Then I just need to tweak the brightness downwards so it's a bit less opaque. This range works. And then let's just go up a little bit for the next layer and we can go pretty far down. I think that works. We need to make sure these have groups. So let's just go 37, 38, and number 39. Just going to set these on move triggers. We're going to start off with the front layer, 37, which should not be moving very far at all. I want these to stay pretty clumped, so I'm only going to go with like a 0.5%, which is 0.005, I think, on the player lock. Then the layer behind can be going slightly faster, but in the opposite direction. So if I do this, that should work. 0.01 on the trigger, and then the next layer can have 0.02. If we play, we should have a clump of clouds moving here. Yes, they're kind of just bundled around the blocks, but I'm probably going to use them for open sections, like, I don't know, not right here because we have a lot of blending detail already. Maybe down here can work next to the portal. Just got to play through, because the longer we let this go on for, the more distant they will be from one another. You see, they're splitting apart already. And if I play through and I pause, these clouds are probably not even touching each other at this point. Yeah, look how far away they're getting. To combat that, I'm probably just going to move them a little bit more per layer to the left, like this. It looks wrong, but I think it'll work in the actual movement process. We can do some big clouds over the tops of these objects. It's probably where it's going to look best. We're just going to playtest and make sure that none of the blending details in the clouds and the blocks are not overlapping with one another. Okay, this is pretty clean so far. That cloud was pretty close to the block. Above every cloud, I can just see where it is with a start pause. Okay, except the shader plays every time I start the level. The one that darkens the entire thing at the very start. This one, I might just turn that off in the editor, to be honest. 4 hours have gone by now. I don't often spend this long on 2 parts of a level, but my focus with this level is to make it all smooth and make the blend of styles seamless, so it's taking extra time here. I'm wondering how well I can use pixel objects as a cloud, because they have a lot of detail packed into just one single object. If I make some of it invisible, we could definitely use this. I'm not gonna lie. Let's just figure this out together. So we're gonna go background blending. I know it's blue. You know what? It actually should go on gray. I was gonna say, I know it's blue, but we can make it blend in with everything else, but that's definitely what a cloud should not be doing. I think blending is definitely the move. We just put this on top of the entire level. Make this pretty large and maybe just flip it upside down. Okay. Stretch it out, and then we can turn down this brightness straight away. Let's go to the layer. We're gonna put this on like edit to layer 5 or something, so it's on its own. I'm gonna copy paste and stretch out like this and just go a tiny bit down. So the clouds look a little bit wispy. Let's just keep going. Stretch out, go down a tiny bit like this. Let's just be smart here. We don't want to make this really tacky. But I think a cloud like this can work on the foreground. Then we can do a blurrier version in the back of it. So the brightness can go down on this layer for sure, like this. And these clouds are 6 objects. Let's see here. If we just hit this yellow pad, they're still quite bright, but these can definitely work, dude. Let's go on to a couple of area triggers here. We can set up an area fade like almost immediately just to make them go a bit less than their maximum brightness. So let's just put a big length that's going to vary slightly between each part of the cloud. So for every object, there's going to be a variance of plus or minus 20 to that 200. It's going to fade on as we're getting there. So already this should be a bit more wispy and cloud-like. Yes, dude. Hold on, I'm cooking. So does that mean I can just place an area move that's going to vary them similarly in their movement? Let's just put the same settings. 200 on the length. I think we go ease and out just for simplicity. And go plus or minus 20. And I think the angle should just be horizontal like this. Let's go. They should be spreading out slightly. Yeah, I think these can work, honestly. Maybe just a little bit more on the brightness here, like this. That thing looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. If I just take the smaller layers, give them 41, and then get the bigger layers and give them 42. We can do some similar movements that we created earlier, where some of them are gonna go like 20%, and the layer behind can go 10%. And then we just use these in the sky, and I know they look pretty copy-pasted, but remember, I put the fading effect with the variance on them for that exact reason. So hopefully when I'm going through, there should just be another cloud layer here with just a slight movement. That actually looks good. Yes! Yes, this looks great. This is exactly what I wanted. It's subtle, but it works as a cloud layer, right? I love that. Dude, these objects are overpowered. I don't know. They just look so good. I can use these as arrows, and they're just gonna work. I could probably make them fade on as well. I'm just gonna steal this area fade trigger and just change it to be 100% for group number 43. Let's just double check that they look good with that. Yeah, why not? Wait, these actually aren't as smooth as I thought. Interesting. Okay, they need to move if they want to fit in with everything else. And I'm worried that there's so much movement in this part, but I think once it all comes together, it should be more coherent. So let's just turn this down a bit. Is that the exact same? It's not the exact same opacity. Okay, I have an excuse to use this trigger, don't worry. And then they need their own area move. Dude, oh my gosh. Let's just vary the angle as much as possible. Put the exact same settings on that I always use. And then hopefully they should just go into place a bit more smoothly. Yeah, like look at that. That adds so much. I barely did anything, dude. I just remembered how cool these invisible objects are if you use them right. So if I put background blending and then just put them every step or so, stretch them out a little bit. I should be able to use them behind these pads or something like that. Just as long as they have no touch on them because they are objects. I'm gonna turn down that brightness a little bit though. Maybe just on orbs. That would look good, I think, if I stretched it out a little bit more. I don't want them to go above the level. They should go B5 if anything. It's just like a little block to go behind some of these objects. I think it's really cool. I think it fits. For those big ones, it looks amazing. Wow. Okay. Day 2 is done now. Not much to sum up other than what was already said, but at the rate I'm building, it feels just right. I want all my levels to go by like this. A few hours every day, and a full level projected to be done in just 4 days. Alright, day 3. We need to add air decoration to the start, and we need to make this transition in the ship. But other than that, the first 2 parts are like done. We're at 3,200 objects, 24 seconds of level. I want to do a quick camera zoom as we're going through this section. We can go up to like a 25% increase. Give this 7 seconds and see where it ends. Roughly at the end of the dash orb is great. So let's just move that. And then we can do a quick zoom back to normal. So we should be zooming in at this point and cutting some stuff off of the screen. I think that could be fine if we have some sort of overlay on the outside. We need to get rid of those clouds. They kind of just awkwardly sit here during the ship. I think we can start moving them away because they have no need to be up here. Selected them right here. We should be able to move them away on group number 44. We just do an ease in movement very far to the left, like 50 blocks, that is. So this time the cloud should be whisked away towards the end of this section, like right now. Yes, that looks great. Okay, all of this stuff has to leave the screen, I think. So let me just select it all, including the glow, please. Let's just give this the next free group number 45. And we can work on a transition. I want to see what it looks like if the entire thing gets scaled up. We're going to use the transition with exponential out because that is a nice smooth easing just so I can see different stages of this multiplication of 10. I just want to see if I can pair this with some other kind of trigger and make a creative transition. See, these particles are huge. They look kind of awkward. They do go off screen, but I think it could be nice if we figure out a good enough transition here, like a 0.25 might be better, and then extend all of these movements. I can't remember what's what though. I think group 7 is the one that's stopping this movement. So let me just put this on -1 so it stays forever. I want to see if we can just make these particles huge and reuse them because this looks cool, right? Like we could definitely have this over the top of the level. I just don't want to make it too crazily overused, if that makes sense. This looks kind of crazy at the moment because we have this huge glow over the top, but that creates a pretty nice look for the level. Combine it with some sort of shader here. Maybe we could do an invert. That looks horrible. That color is disgusting, dude. Holy. So we grayscale it and then we go invert. And then when you hit this portal, it goes back to normal with 0 target. And the grayscale can be fading off at this point just for a little bit longer. Let's just see. Yeah, I think if we time that better, it can work. Wait, I forgot to actually set this to 0, dude. Oh my gosh. I don't like this color here. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see it in motion once more. There we go. Okay, we can make this fade on at this point. I'm just going to put in a different editor layer and then flip it upside down once I've linked them together and move them up so it kind of just joins in the middle. Then we can lock this to the x-axis on 47. Okay, now we're going to check the use object color button and then we're going to set them to be background blending and definitely reduce the brightness on these things. So let's just go down to like -0.7 on both 1 and 2, which is the base and detail. And there we go. We have a particle background to start us off here. This should be behind everything though. I spent some time here trying to make a layered background where the particles in the center move at a different speed than the ones closer to the ground, but it didn't look great. I was about to use hundreds of particle objects and make them flash on and off, which probably would have lagged, so I think this approach that I'm about to show you is better. Okay, we have this effect where it's going big and small. Set the shaders to be on B5 after the transition has happened. So like right here, maybe I can turn down the grayscale fade time just a little bit to make this earlier. Just cranking the strength and the speed on these objects, but then turning off the line thickness and the strength so you don't get those ugly TV lines. And this thing could go pretty hard. I feel like I can now just delete some of this and make this more intense. Probably don't even need all of these movements. Probably just rock with the original 6 and just use this particle effect. I just realized, okay, well, this is really unfortunate. I just wasted a bunch of time, but whatever. Making these brighter would probably be a positive. Okay, well, you know, I try to do something different, but I'm probably just going to fall back to this because it looks cool. Stretch these. And the only bad thing about this is the timing on it. Like, it just doesn't hit. So it goes from the X-ray into this effect. You see, there's just a little bit of transition time here. If I just move this alpha trigger a bit more to the right, we should be able to get this to work perfectly. There we go. Boom. Nice. I'm gonna try and do something completely different for the blocks in this part. I'm gonna try and use this shiny object like this, just using the regular background color, not even blending. Cranking down the brightness to like 0.8 on the negative side. And we can copy paste, go down a bit, increase the layer, and then just start increasing the saturation, increasing the brightness, and just keep going. So we copy again, we go up in brightness, up in saturation, and then up in the Z order. Okay, then for the next one, I'm gonna put the saturation back down and then increase the brightness quite a lot. So it's a big shiny bit here. Then here's where I'm gonna go up a Z layer and start using background blending, probably with a bigger one, just on the same colors like that. And I'm hoping that with this object, I know it's 6 objects a piece, but I'm hoping that if I do this, we can get some cool looking structures. And if I give them a group, we should be able to make them kind of flock into place with an area move. So let's just go big variation on the angle, plus or minus 2 blocks on a decent length here. Let's just try that out. I'm very curious to see what this will look like because there's a lot of layers here. I'm just going to activate that area move somewhere along here, and then we should see them kind of flock into place like that. Not enough movement at all, not to quote the legendary ninja, but yeah, we need to just decrease that length and increase the move distance completely, and hopefully we still get a pathway that's decent here. You can't see anymore. Might change this from a UFO into a wave. I feel like it makes more sense there. This is the 5-hour mark in the footage. There's still no air decoration at the start, but it was great to put down so much of the second half so quickly, even if it was pretty random. You'll see. I'm just gonna map out a path for us to go as the wave. This video has become a lot less formulaic. I've realized that this part is much more experimental than the others so far. Forgive me that this will be a lot less planned than the first half of the video, which is probably about an hour long. This section might only be half an hour long because I'm probably going to talk less while I'm just like playing around with things and seeing how things look. Let's just put a saw blade in with these. That's just like a fraction of the actual size, just to make the hitboxes feel good to play with. And then I can copy paste going up like this. Let's just test with this much. We're gonna put a ceiling on it though. Just realized I can just take the bottom section and then copy paste up like this. I'm just wondering if this would work. I actually have no idea. Okay, it looks quite lame when they're all together and you can't see the background very well. Okay then, we have a challenge now. 49 has to scale up from nothing, I do believe. So let's just put 0.1, and put a big length on this. Ease in out. We should see more of the background come up at once here, and we should see the path kind of expand towards us. Okay, well this is kind of interesting. Halved the length here, so the smaller for longer. This is cool, but it's more unsight readable for sure. Let's just go in the middle of this, and then we can also add an area rotate that we're going to hit next to it. Putting touch trigger on all of this because these are broken and they can destroy your entire level if you're not careful here. So yeah, I just like to touch trigger them. It's mainly with start positions. Let's just stop them rotating as we get there. Or maybe they should rotate more as I'm getting there. That would be interesting to test. But yeah, we're kind of getting somewhere here. I think we use these for less of a corridor and then make other structures in the middle. Yeah, these are a lot of objects, dude. My goodness. I think we just use them for a structure like this, which we can maybe mirror on the ceiling and then not do much else with, because I just think it's a nice little structure to have. It gets overused very quickly. So I like these just being in small bursts because you can see them coming and going really nicely. For this playthrough, let's change the area rotate to rotate them as we're getting close to them. This is using 500 objects in total for these 4 structures in the level. I think they're very useful to have, just as little breaks. I'm probably going to move some of them closer to the center of the screen because it has more impact when covering more. I think we can just move all of these structures down by 2. Feels more like a tunnel here, and you get more of the effect actually centralized on the screen. So yeah, we're going to use this. For the UFO, I am going to chop off the top of these structures and then just shrink these down to be more ground spikes. Oh, this is a lot of objects. Okay, let's delete some of them, just kind of at random. Or we could just move these a bit more slowly. Ah, okay, we give these group 50, and they can start a bit earlier, but we can put them on a move trigger right here, which is going to make them move at like 75%. That is how you would do that. Okay, so we have our tunnels. Then, after that point, we should have the slower moving ground spikes right before the UFO portal, which just looks pretty cool to me. They look a little bit broken. I actually like that they broke because it makes them look different. My player line is all the way over here when these guys were on the ceiling, and they're so far left, so they actually cover more of the screen at a time. Okay, now I'm playing around with gradients. I have these little stars. This one is group 51, which I've put into a gradient trigger as the top left and the top right. Then I have 52 on the bottom left and 53 on the bottom right. What I did is I put these onto B1 on an invert setting. So what's happening right here over the top of the other glow, the super bright background blending glow is on T1, so it's not going underneath this gradient, but everything else is, which is why the black glow right here, or the dark glow, is going white, as you can see. I'm going to try and use this without this really ugly orange. I think the background is making that happen. So genuinely, I think during this switch in the level, I can set the background color to black, and it should be fine going through here. I'm just concerned about the background now because... oh, dude, everything in this level was background blending. That's gonna be really annoying. I wonder if we can set this to gray. I mean, that's still quite cool. I just need to make sure these blocks are a cooler color overall. Alright, or, hold on. I can copy this gradient. I can go over the top of the level with a new ID. And I can just set up some kind of color here. Let me see. I can just go 16 and 16 based in detail, like right here. Oh, take out these numbers entirely. And obviously this is going to be super bright. But if I change 16 to a dark blue, for example, this whole level is going to get tinted. And then I can create a color loop for 16 that starts over here. Let's just put the default in and we can go 0.25. We can start it off with this color. And then we can go to a lighter blue, like a cyan, and then maybe even touch on green for a second before going down with dark blue again and go like a lighter. We should be able to loop these. So then the level is going to have this color loop for this section that's going to touch on green and have some really cool colors going on here. Okay, this could be super risky, but now I want to do an area move for group number 59, which is going to move these stars into place on a random-ish angle. I really don't want a big movement here though. I really don't. I just want to make it so I can use these stars a lot more often. So we just put 59 in here, make it so it stops by the time we get there. We should have a structure that's just gradually moving into a pillar, but I didn't see it move. I think I'm gonna have to copy this gradient around a little bit. Every time I use it, I have to use build helper. Oh man, this thing is gonna be kind of chaotic to use. I'm gonna link it. I just want to see them move ever so slightly. I don't know if they will because I put on such a short movement. They barely move, man. It's so risky to do more than one block, though. I don't know. I just don't want this to go wrong. I think we have a good concept with the design, but it's going to look very flat if I don't do this. That's quite cool, actually. Maybe we increase the length and then do more variants. If I put enough air decoration on the front that shows the pathway, these should be playable. Okay, this works. This actually works really well. I just gotta hide the stars, and then we have some cool looking structures in here. We're up to 5,600 objects now. This is ridiculous, dude. This part is eating up so much. I keep forgetting to hide the stars, but this might actually work for a part in the level, which is just flabbergasting to me. If you can even say that. Okay, let me just hide these stars. Now they're just clean edges that are just slightly brighter than the rest. But the flip of the background color with the invert definitely makes this more readable. Okay, this looks beautiful, dude. I'm a big fan of this. We can add much more to the foreground of this, but yeah, this is just killing it. I'm not gonna lie. All right, day 3 is over. This was seemingly a good spot to end on, but after recording day 4, I'm now recording this voiceover with the hindsight that, yeah, we still had a long way to go at this point. There's a lot more to come. But that was fun, getting 3 different elements of the level tied together and blended well. Okay, we're up to day 4 now. 5,600 objects, 42 seconds of level. Not sure how much longer I'm actually going to continue this. I feel like it kind of makes sense to end the level around here, where the beat kind of dies down a little bit after this section. Right here? I don't know. We gotta figure out how we're gonna do this section. What I will say is I'm going to select all of the stars at the bottom of these slopes. The variance on the movement can make it so they move above the ground, which makes the slopes look like this, and they don't connect to the bottom of the screen. So I'm actually just gonna drop these structures down. Not that much because they look too steep, but yeah, we can definitely work with this. I'm probably gonna scale up some of these like so. There's room left for work here, I think. I think that by moving them further apart, they have cooler movements here and also cooler shapes. This footage right here is half an hour of tweaking and testing many gradient layers with different blending modes, movements, and opacities. I fell for the trap of adding too many complexities to the effect, which was hindering the execution a lot, which made me pretty much just lost in the sauce and unable to pull anything coherent out of it. The way I got out of this mess was just by simply undoing everything I put down after a certain point, and also reducing the intensity of all movements, alpha effects, even the colors of the gradients in there. You'll see that just by setting out simple goals for the blocks and reconsidering how I wanted everything to work, I quickly found my feet, even if I was just testing things for such a long time before switching mindset. I still think it's pretty messy in the end, but yeah, I just wanted to say, in this section, don't lose sight of what you're trying to make just because you're trying to add too much to pull one idea together. Sometimes, simplicity is the best way forward. I've added more movement and I've added slightly less lengths between each layer. It goes down by about 3 blocks per layer, just trying to make them move faster and make them more flashy, and also tie that color into the level more with alpha trigger effects and stuff. This is less readable, but I think I'm almost like on the right lines now. It's kind of crazy. Every single one of them is getting set to invert. I don't even care. Let's do it, dude. I don't even care. Invert. The red is ugly. That sucks. Okay, well, we can definitely fix that somehow. There's gotta be a way, man. There's gotta be. I'm deleting the alpha trigger effect. And all of these gradients are going on B1. That's right. And all of them are going on white. That should eliminate any murky colors and just put a line between each layer. Okay, I'm cooking. I'm stripping back what I have built up during this whole section and just made it all about the inverts again, which is definitely really helping with the overall vibe of this part. I just need less screen cover of the gradients and I'll be good to go, honestly. And you know where that comes from? it comes from the amount of variance. So after all, this trigger was literally right on like 40, 50. It really doesn't need that much. It just needs something really chill, and then the layers can just match up with each other like this. Yes! Finally! Oh my gosh. I'm even turning down the intensity on these two area triggers to just add 2 and -2 blocks to each layer right here. And it just looks so much better when it's under control. Oh, that gradient trigger died again. Why do you keep doing that, mister? Like, my kryptonite was making everything too messy, but now I feel like we're in a good spot with these. I want to know, if I keep copy-pasting down and build helpering, is this going to lag? I'm really curious. I don't know how intense gradients are to run, but imagine this invert effect, right? With this many triangles where there's so many overlaps and stuff. Like, look at the checkerboards you can create here with the overlapping slopes. Literally looks so cool. So I'm considering setting these to a high detail or something of the kind, because these look so cool. Like, I could easily use these as structures if I wanted to. I might just whack it all on high detail and just, yeah, we'll just go from here. I think I'm happy with this because it just adds more complexity and gives the slopes more of a reason to stand out and exist. It also intensifies the background a fair bit too. For the UFO, if I change this gradient, oh my gosh, these groups are ridiculous. Top right will have to be 687 here to do what I want to do. Let's just move this into a square. That's 686, so we make the next one 680 number 7 right here. We should have a square, yep. Wonder what we can do with this object. Copy, paste, move down into the right build helper. But I can just keep doing that over and over, I think. I mean, yeah, pretty much. And I can just set all of these to high detail in the game. Right here, I was about to go with an approach using huge structures, but I decided it would be infinitely better with bursts of small blocks as the focus point to make more reasonable and sight-readable gameplay that I could put saws around, etc. I think at this point I'm going to get rid of these slow-moving saw blades because they have to go. I'm going to rebuild this section from the ground up. I think these structures will be better if they're more controlled. Somewhere amongst that time-lapse, by the way, was the 6-hour mark in the footage. And I'm not surprised so much of my time went into this. I tried a lot of different movements and timings, and the experimentation was definitely worth it. I read a lot of comments that say I make weird decisions and that I leave things messy, so that was the last thing I wanted with this level. Small structures, and then we can place big ones around the outsides of them. Yeah, this is looking super neat and wavy. Oh my gosh. Do you want to overlap at least one of them? Because I think this is just too cool of an opportunity. Yeah, like this is going to work for structuring. I'll probably set this to a mini UFO just so we can fit in between the blocks a bit more. Like, these blocks don't feel entirely natural, which is a little bit of a shame, but I do think it makes a very cool and very vapory experience, if that makes sense. Like, I think that's the best word you can really give it, because some of this is kind of giving water. I've kind of lost the vision of the Christmas level at this point. But man, I think I'm kind of cooking right now, and I'm enjoying building, so this is great. We can just put little clusters of these saw blades in. Well, that's gonna like shade them a little bit too, which is interesting. Just doing stuff at this point. Like, this is just funny to build. 2.2 has completely changed how I view structuring and stuff, and I know that some people aren't a huge fan of some of my levels, and that I used to put more thought into how they were structured and stuff, but I think it's super fun just to use the tools you've been given to create something kind of trippy and different from a normal GD level building experience. Like, I'm probably going to do camera work here as well to intensify this whole section. Like, I'm even going to take this piece of glow and just stretch it far and wide along the bottom of the screen. I think it's going to create some really cool pockets along the ground, especially when it's scaling. Throwing ideas at a wall and seeing what sticks is more my style. And I feel like I've been deprived of that so far in this level, so now I'm just resorting back to my original kind of instincts, if that makes sense. I have to make sure these objects are always visible. I made them huge. Oh my gosh, 1,683 is the next free group. Well, that's kind of embarrassing. The way I'm going to make them always visible is using a trigger, if I can even find it, called link visible. Let's just go with this. That group was 1683. Let's put 1683 into this visibility link. I'm just going to put a star here that's got that same group, but the group parent, and it's going to be invisible, and it's just going to lock onto the screen with 184, just so these never go off screen. Because the way it works is that if the object is loaded, that is the group parent of this whole situation, then the objects in the group will never go off. So now these big patches aren't going to despawn off the edges of the screen, which is really nice. But yeah, let's just see how this looks in the... Oh, hold on. Oh, there's some rotation applying to them. That's really funny. Okay, so because of that huge area rotate trigger that's up here that was touch triggered, the start position afterwards just didn't use that at all. So now these objects in the back just rotate like this, and it looks horrible. My solution is going to be to select every single saw in this level so far, except the ones in the background. So let's just use all of these. The ones in the back won't have this new group that I'm adding to it, 1685, which feels ridiculous to say. And these are going to be the groups that are in the... Then I just slap 1685 in this rotation trigger instead of that other group. And let's just slap this object onto the ground at times. I'm going to put it near the actual structures themselves. We can give it a shot from here just to see how those shadows look in the original section over here. I'm actually not noticing them that much, but they are there and they do add a little bit of density to the part. Oh, they have the scaling effect on them. That's why. I think we also put the scaling effect on the other group. Yes, that's right. I am a fraud, ladies and gentlemen. I'm carried by area triggers. Actually, I'd argue I'm not carried by area triggers because I just took some objects off of the area triggers. So eat that. Haha, okay, this is looking better. It's just a bit more shaded at the top and bottom of the screen. I will do more to add structures there in a second, but it definitely helps. And now we get to see this part in all of its glory. I really like this UFO. I think I like the UFO part more than the wave. I think these structures are just more consistent and they're better looking overall. Man, we're kind of making a banger. Look at the gradients. Oh my gosh. Day 4 done? You see what I was talking about though? Okay, day number 5, we are up to 7,300 objects. Look at these tiny little gradient triggers. They look like particles almost just sitting at the top here. It looks like rain. I've made this super unoptimizedly. That's not a word, but what even is a word, dude? I'm losing my mind. Let's set this saw blade to the background blending color. We can make it pretty quick. I'm assuming we can just put like 300. That's not quick. This is quick though. Yeah, why not? We should probably turn down the brightness on it. Let's just go down by like minus a point. Then we can make a little version next to it, which is probably a little bit smaller, but just adds a little bit to the shape of it. A bit further down, I think. Yeah, okay. And I'm thinking of doing 2 pieces of glow here. Let's just paste the state, see how that looks. Okay, that's not too noticeable, but if I do another one on the inside with that brightness change taken off, should be pretty cool. If I can just move both of these pieces down. So that looks a little bit better. This area move that everything is kind of varied on, this plus or minus 40 thing is group 59, if you remember that. I'm going to put that onto these objects right here. Let's just do that. So they should all form together. I don't want to reuse the exact same movement too much. That's why I chose one with variance. Okay, that looks kind of strange. I'm just going to add a new area move that doesn't use such... Okay, speaking of big numbers, that is a huge number. 1,689 is the group number. Don't forget that. We're just going to take that area move, slap it onto the new group right here. I'm just going to turn down that variant, I think. So now we have just a very subtle movement placed on top of these saw blades over here, which is going to be neat. And you know what? I think I can actually turn their brightness up because that did not look the greatest, I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna go just a little bit off the peak. And our secondary one, I think we're gonna turn the brightness down for the detail and have the outline there. And I'm just gonna remember the fact that I can use these invisible objects for effect. Maybe this one will look cool. Let's just stack it so it's a triple. That's not a triple, that's a quintuple. We're gonna put it on no touch. Let's just put it roughly in the middle and we can stretch it to cover the top. Should be something like this. Gonna link it, put it all on that group, and then just use it a couple of times with a couple of different scales here. Going down like so. Gonna test this in normal mode. This shouldn't be too bad. I just want a bright little structure to kind of match the shininess of the gradients going through. It's okay. It's not the greatest. Just looking at the gameplay line, I'm going to add a couple of these here and there. I think this just adds like a little extra layer to the structuring, but I do want to add some to the ground as well on top of it. I'm going to take groups of them like this and just copy them to the ceiling in areas like these, because that's just so easy. Dude, I'm now at 8,000 objects. I've cut a lot ahead in the footage. Because the footage is missing. I completely forgot to record this whole section. I've added a new pulse here, which is just a smooth pulse to a background color. That goes for some ground spikes that I rotated and put on the top here and stretched out. Some invisible slopes that go behind the arrows. I'm actually so mad that I lost this footage. I mean, I can just show you what I've done. It's really nothing special, but there was a lot of testing involved to get to that point, and I'm mad because I like showing my testing footage, but this is basically where I'm at. Nothing is too flashy. Nothing is too unsight readable. We just have a couple of layers of decoration here. The ground spikes actually add a lot to this part, which is really cool. We just have to extend it all through this mini UFO with a couple of different details, and we should be done with this ending section. I'm assuming at this point in the footage. This brings me to the 7-hour mark, and honestly, we're looking at a 50-50 time split between the first and second parts at this rate. I think ending it after this second part is kind of odd, but I also really like the fact that it starts off wintry and then ramps up into a light blue trippy effect part to represent the transition you hear in the song. It was always kind of a strange choice anyway. But yeah, I made this huge ground spike circle and then just snipped like this section out of it, stretched it up, put it on the top and bottom. It was literally when I went to stop recording that I was like, whoa, it doesn't say that I'm recording. Dang it. For the arrows in this section, I'm just gonna remake some of the arrows that I made in the wave, so I've got it on footage. I'm actually so mad about that, dude. Gonna use some of these dotted slopes that go invisible as you pass them. We can squish these down, make them super tall if we want, but we have to make sure that they have no touch placed on them. And then I just copy paste and move these to the side like this. And what's cool about these is I can just shrink them down and stretch them out, and it creates like a double layered arrow, but I'm gonna put this probably on a background blending color that's much darker and stretch it out much further. And we can have like a double layer of this. There's going to be quite a few objects here, but I like it. 48 objects? Okay, this is actually kind of egregious. We're probably going to use this rarely. I'm going to make sure it's at the top of B1 instead of on T1. Hopefully it doesn't go behind the mountains. Okay, that's good. I don't remember the layering in this part. I'm just going to put it in big overhead areas like this. We're going to save and exit. We're going to take a look at how it works. It's got no movement on it, which is going to be quite strange. But yeah, it's just like a nice little piece to have floating around in the level up there. It looks great as we're going past too. For the actual arrows, I'm just going to use color channel number 1, that same B1 layer of just B1 and 1. And we're going to point this straight ahead with a little layer on top like so. Should look pretty neat just as a little jump indicator. Gonna make it smaller at times just to make room for other decoration. Can put big ones when there's no other decoration just so it fills more space and it's more noticeable. But yeah, we're kind of just placing things at this point. Here we go. Now we have little jump indicators. That looks great. We should probably move them a little bit on and off the screen, but we can figure it out. Shouldn't be much stress. We just custom select the entire lot like so, just using select filter, which is this button. Again, if I haven't explained that already. New group 1696. I'm just going to make that an area fade. 1696. We're going to make it fade on as we get there and just like a 10 block radius. And also just move like 20, I guess. I guess that's a good number. We can put it on a larger length. Or maybe just the same length. I don't know. I was going to try and be funky there, but there's no point. Let's just put it on P1. Stop it as we get there. Okay, so now they just kind of rise up. Ooh, it's a little bit odd. I think what I'm going to do, just because there's 2 layers, we're going to add a little bit of variance here just by like 20% of the actual length. Just so some of them jump up at different times. Like right here, you can see the layers between them a bit more. And I'm going to make them fade on sooner because I am cool like that. Also increasing the lengths to 120 overall just because I think it's smoother this way. I like just putting the jump indicators just to the sides of actual detail just to make it cleaner. Okay, now it's time to just extend the details through this UFO section. Probably going to use less and less of these ground spikes as we go on because I like this open feel with the saws. I'm just going to kind of avoid them. Yeah, this is great. Whoa, there's a broken gradient here. That is odd. How did that happen? I'm just going to delete that block and just replace it real quick. Build helper. That was weird. Okay, and at this rate, I think I'm going to be done soon. I do want to add camera controls here, though. I'm going to use that same area fade and area moving group that we put on the beginning jump indicators just for this section, just to spice up these arrows a bit more. I'm going to do a slight zoom going into this wave portal that's going to go to 0.05. Haha, such a large increase. I know. I'm going to be a little bit of a loser here and do very slight camera movements because I know it annoys some people when the camera moves too much. So I'm just going to do like 1 second exponential out movements and then probably just sign in out them the opposite way throughout the part for like 10 seconds here. We can even zoom. I don't want to zoom out. That's just too risky to me. Let's just play it safe here. I have realized, by the way, that I can just cut this second movement off halfway through. So like right here, when the song repeats, I can just repeat the set of triggers and be fine. I'm probably going to change the number that the camera rotates to, like -2 or -3 on this one specifically, just to mix it up. I don't know. Then I have to make sure that I change the second number if I'm going to a minus on the first movement. So if this one is a -2, then the second one has to be a +2, etc. But if the first one is a +2, the next one is a -2. I'm just going to hope that these camera controls cook. I just want to put this on a slight angle going through. Nice. Okay. Then we should have another camera control here. Yeah, that's so subtle. I think that's fine, dude. Come on. You can't hate that. Boom. Except I probably will put that on another negative angle, like a -5 or something. Not a 6. That's ridiculous, dude. I can just set it back to 0 at some points too. Okay, and at that rate, I think I'm done with this level. I know it's only 46 seconds, but this is a giant Christmas special. I'm pretty happy with how it's going. Just gonna play through Wizmas. This is one of my best products of 2.2, I think. I really like what I did with the art style and the controlled particles. I think this floating sky section is a cool transition away from the beginning section. I think it works. I think the cloud effects I did were pretty neat. I love this scaling circle effect. I probably could have put a couple more arrows or something here, but I really like this smooth blue background getting thrown into this distorted one with these wonky-ish camera controls, mixed gradients. I love the movements in this section specifically. It's a little bit unsight readable at times, maybe the transitions, but yeah, I'm a big fan of what I did in this level. I want to do more like it because I think I learned a lot from the process, seeing what works and what doesn't. But yeah, super happy with this. Awesome. I should have probably made an end screen. Okay, tell you what, I'll make a surprise end screen. Go play the level yourself. Go find the coin if you haven't watched the video. And yeah, this is Wizmas by Wulzy. Thank you so much for watching. Super happy with what I got done in this video. I hope you liked this long form content. Thank you so much for watching. Check the links in the description. Leave a like and subscribe. Share this video with your friends. Have a good day.